Good morning, traders. It is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, 8:45 a.m. I'm coming here from beautiful Welladama Bay, Sri Lanka, and I want to go over the midweek technical breakdown. I want to follow up with the pairs that I went over in my previous videos and show you guys where I'm currently tracking price. So I want to get started with Eurgbp. I have had a bearish bias for the past few weeks now, and I do foresee price continuing on to the downside. At the moment, we are currently testing structure support. If you can see on a 30-minute chart, there is a clear range of support to be broken around 0.842. So we shall continue to wait until a break below there, which is about 6 pips away from that support, so about 15 pips lower from current price. We should see a continuation towards the downside, and any breach above 0.845 would invalidate that short and show that price is more likely to continue on to the upside. If it does continue on to the upside, this is minor area of resistance. This is not a significant area, so we might see some struggle once it comes up to here to retest that structure support that will be created at the time, and should see price continue to move on its way towards the upside at that point. Now, that's just the breakdown of this current pair. If that does happen, we shall wait and we should see where price goes after that. Lastly, if we do see price continue to surge towards the upside here, there is an area of resistance where my stop loss is placed for that second order. And that area of resistance, if I do scroll the chart back, we can see it was formed earlier on around October 12th. We can see there's been support. Has been tested multiple times, and then it got broken. There was a retest into that region slightly. It looks like between the 14th and the 15th, there was a retest of that region, and then we had a solid break down below. If I were to take this short, I would have took an entry upon the break of that structure, and my stop loss would have been a few pips above that high, giving me about a 30-pip stop, and I would have been able to swing that pair down all the way down to the extension of that trend and took profit. Then I would have waited until price currently, which is what we're currently seeing, pulls back, creates a structure of resistance, support, retest, and what we're seeing right now is that range that is currently being played out right now. So it's as easy as your ABCs. You just kind of just track price, follow along, read price action day in, day out, and react to price. So that's Eurgbp. According to my macro analysis, if we do see price continue on downwards, I do have an extension of this upper trend right here. If I do, I have too many fibs on the chart, but pretty much what I had done in my previous markups was I drew a fib from a swing high to swing low of that trend, and then I got an extension, which is currently what you guys see down below. If I do minimize the screen, there we go. You can see the extension. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much my weekly target for this pair. I do believe it will go down farther, but we'll continue to follow up with this as time goes on. Now I want to go into Gbpcad. I currently have some buys in this pair. I had entered some longs yesterday. Actually, at the daily low, I had seen on the macro scale that Gbpcad was actually going to go up, and so I bought it. One of my reasons supporting my evidence of it going up is when you look into the weekly, you can see that price has been in a long-term range for the past several years, and that range has recently created a new range within that range that is actually pointing towards the upside, as we can see right here. It was before this was point A right here, and this is point B of the range, and then went back to point A and went back towards point B, and now it's making higher lows. So what comes after a higher low? That's right, potential higher highs. On the weekly chart, we can't foresee price breaking towards the upside, but anything could happen, and it could also break down to the downside and consolidate and mess around for the next year. So that's why I don't look at the weekly, because it's just too wide of a range. Now I'll go back into the daily. You can see price is making its way onto the upside. We see that there's a lot of space. There's a huge gap left between a lot of sellers that got bought into the market, and then carried away with the previous month of shorts and failed to realize that it is in a big giant range. So when we look at the micro scale, what do we see? We see price created minor support, which is currently being tested as resistance. If we can break above this minor support, I'm going to actually draw a line right here. So there was minor support right here. If we could break above this and close above this minor support, that's when I will have a continuation towards upside at the next major area, which is around 1.73. But until that happens, we have to just take it one step at a time. When we are looking at the 30-minute time frame, what we can see is higher highs, higher lows, higher highs being painted. So right now, currently, price is currently on its way up. Yesterday, I did catch a very bullish run, so it wouldn't be to my surprise to see price try to retest that. So the retracement, I don't see a retracement any more than 40 pips away. If it does go further than that, we could potentially see price go back down towards the downside. So what I'm going to do live in this video is I'm going to take a trade based on that. So there's a 0.10. This is just for practice. This is a live account, but sometimes on my live accounts, I do throw practice trades in. So we can see it's IG live. Okay, now let me scroll back down. All right. So I took that trade, and I'm going to just move my stop loss. So I have a rule, and I believe everyone should implement some sort of customized rule in their trading approach. But my rule is that every time I move my stop loss, aka a trailing stop, I have to apply a new trade and a new entry and exit criteria based on that trailing stop. So that way I'm not just trailing the stop based on emotions, I'm trailing the stop based on logic. So right now the trailing stop will be moved up from where it previously was to now the new stop loss. Where's the new stop loss going to be? It's going to be a few pips below this break right here. So about 58 pips away, 60 pips away. So around break even of this buy is going to be my new stop loss. This is going to also be able to track my daily losses. So a lot of times what used to happen to me as a trader, as a day trader, is I would try to get into my trades and try to capitalize the move of the day, and I end up getting whipsawed the other way, and price ends up trapping me for the next 24 plus hours before either hitting my stop loss or going back to break even. And then that way it would overcomplicate my trading for the week, because me sitting in a break even trade or a trade that's in drawdown of 30-40 pips, just to see it not win, that's just a huge waste of time. And so I've implemented some tactics and some reasoning and logic along with everything that I've been doing to be able to apply softer stop losses. So if it does hit that stop, it's pretty much over for the next day. I can always go back in the next day or later on in the week and hop back in the chart at a better price. So as of right now, it is showing signal that it's going to go up. The reason why I don't have my stop loss below this region of support right here around 1.703 is because it's such a weak area of demand. It's just, if it does get broken, it's not going to go much farther. And if you do put your stop loss there, it has a high probability of being broken. That's what I call a weak area of demand. So if that does get crushed on the 30-minute, I don't foresee price going any farther than where that most recent buy order is. And if so, like I said, we're gonna I want to move this actually. This is where the resistance met the support, and a few pips below here is where I'm going to place my stop loss. So right above break even of there, as you guys can all see, that's 11 pips. That's plenty of move pips away. I don't even need it that far away, but there we go. Just move it slightly. All right, and this is just my overview of Gbpcad. Where do I project price to go next? Like, I believe stops are going to get hit right there, so this is going to be an easy drive up. So that'll be target 1 right there, 137 pips, and then we'll be able to monitor price and track it from there. So that will be our next area of resistance. I'm going to actually draw a minor area right here so we can all see there's going to be a minor area of resistance that's going to be marked up right there. And I'm going to drag my price actually to the farthest extent as I can. So if price does surge up and it does close above there and continue to go on while I'm not around, at least I can take the extra pips, because I do foresee price going as far as 1.730. All right, that's it for this account. Let me go into my other account now, my other broker. Now this is GBP AUD. I actually have a long in this pair where I have a stop loss slightly below this low. I'm going to break this down briefly. You look at the 4-hour chart, we see that price is currently at a demand zone. In my last video, I actually had some longs, and I took the longs up slightly for some profit. I took the longs up about 100 pips towards that high, and then I exited my trade. I entered a new trade with a trailing stop. The trailing stop got hit, which indicated that price was going to go down for the moment, and the next area, which is currently being tested right now. So I was actually able to save myself 120 pip loss by being able to just be patient, wait for price to react around that demand zone, and we did see a bullish engulfing candlestick recently. So as of yesterday, there was a bullish engulfing candlestick, and that's what we're currently testing the demand area of. So this area right here is a strong area of support on the 4-hour chart. So if we see anything that closes below here on the 4-hour, we could suspect price to go down. Now, when we look at the 30-minute time frame, I want to just highlight everything that I see on a micro scale. We see that price went up, like I explained, and just recently, price did climb up, and upon its hike towards the upside, it crashed down, stopping out any buyers that had their stop losses along this way down, and its next area would be clearly down here. So price is currently testing that area. Let me see how I'm doing on time. 11 minutes, beautiful. So price is currently testing that area of demand. So what do I suspect to happen next is for price to continue to rise up. There we go. It tested the area of resistance. It got rejected back towards the area of support. So it's kind of playing within this range. So at the moment, I do see currently price is rolling over towards the downside. We have a bearish engulfing, so this should be a signal. If this signal fails and does not close below this low within the next 30 minutes to an hour, then we're more than likely going to see price start to spring towards the upside and make a momentum towards there. This is where I believe the London move is going to enter the U.S. session, and we should see price continue on to the upside for today. That's me capturing the daily move on GBP AUD. If it does go against me, so let me just actually mark that up. So I'm actually just I'm not gonna enter a trade, but I'm pretty much just going to be looking for potential entries around that zone. So that's where we're gonna have a buy speculation. But as of right now, it definitely does look like it's going up on the micro scale. I don't really like using a 5-minute right now, but I will use it just for illustration purposes. So when we look at the 5-minute chart, what we can see right here is that price is actually testing out a range. There's support, 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 support. Also resistance, resistance, resistance. Price broke resistance, and clearly it went back down towards support. So price is currently making its way towards the downside, but it's also making a minor area of resistance along the way. This is why I don't advise people to counter trend trade, because when you do counter trend trade, it's more than likely going to fail overall in the long term. So, you could be on a nice run, and all of a sudden the counter trend trade, it actually fails, and then what happens next is price moves on to the upside, breaking back into the trend, and then you miss the entire actual real move. And that's what happens day in, day out of counter trend traders. So try to avoid that. Let's see how I'm doing on time. My screen is lagging a little bit right now, so apologize for the slowness. Minimize. All right, now I want to go into my last pair. If the screen is not going too slow, it's Euro USD. So what we have right now is very similar to GBP AUD. If we look at the price charts, we can see a very similar comparison on the 5 to 15 minute. That's what I mean by price action, doing the same thing day in, day out. See how it went, and there's a resistance zone right there, and there was a rejection. Then there was another rejection. On GA, price should be going down based on this double top rejection, but my bias is that it will more than likely spring up and close above there and go on up. Now, when we look at Euro USD, we can see something similar happening on a 15-minute, but it's in a different region. You see price has been going up, and we're actually looking for sells. On GA, price was going down, and we're actually looking for buys. So we're actually looking to take this out, and you can see where it's currently positioned along the trend. It's not in a strong region for a double top. Double tops are very weak at the bottom of trends. They're very strong at the top of trends. So right now we are seeing a double top. So at the moment we see price that currently broke that area of support right there around 1.164, 1.165, around that region. That was support. Price broke that region. Now price should not climb anything above 1.1675, so that would be my hard stop if I were to put a trade in right now based on my analysis. Do I want to do that? I could, but I'm just going to just monitor this pair. I already have enough sells in at the moment, so if I do place another stop loss, I have to put another position, and that's just going to congest my orders that I already have. And since they're so close to price, I'm just going to let it run, but I do foresee price rejecting this area of resistance that is currently testing right now, as you know, clearly it's going up. Clearly these were stop losses right above there on the smaller time frame, so we avoided putting stops anywhere above here. And clearly price has shown a candlestick formation followed with a follow through, and this is strong enough of a move for me to continue my wave downwards. But like I said, I'm not going to enter a trade right now, although I should. Matter of fact, you guys know what? For illustration purposes, why not enter a trade right now? Just so I could really just highlight what I'm actually going through. So I'm gonna enter a 0.50 live on this chart, and I do lose. It does happen. You know, I'm not the greatest trader in the world right now. I will be one day, but right now I'm not. So, you know, losses do happen, and this is, you know, potentially gonna be stopped out. But I'm not making these videos for entertainment purposes. I'm making these videos for educational purposes. So those of you that are watching my videos and seeing my progress, you can see how after each video that I create every new week that I survive these markets, I'm actually showing more precision. And that's the goal of these videos, to show you guys with practice and repetition, you can actually get to that point of consistently reading price action and taking trades and making money every minute, hour, and shit, who knows, even every second if you get an algorithm and code it. But let's continue on to finish up this video. So as we can see, we want to take this down to at least this trend lows, because this trend is going to be wiped out if overall we're bearish. So that's going to be TP1 on this. And then, you know, I actually do foresee it taking out these lows. So this is actually TP1 70 pips. And then TP2 is going to be further down, which I have these sells currently waiting to be tapped. So that's it for this pair. Of course, if price does go against me on the 4 hour, we do have a 4 hour close above that resistance, but then we had a 4 hour close below it. So that invalidated that bull run. That's why I have my sells in. And then my stop loss is very simply a few pips above those highs is going to be my stop loss for these two sells that I actually have currently in drawdown. So this is my daily approach. And yes, TP1 is going to be taking out these lows. TP2 is going to be to revisit those lows. And TP3, of course, is going to be further down below, where we have the extension of this downtrend, which is about another 56 pips away. So that's my moves. That's my breakdown. And of course, you know, for those of you that like to counter my moves, yes, there could be a potential move to the upside if we can see stop losses above. If it does tap those stops, our next area of resistance is going to possibly be, that's right around here where it was old resistance. So that's about 62 pips away. So if stops get hit here, we're going to be looking at 62 pips away for potential entry. If there's no entry around there, we're going to keep on tracking as price goes up. But the bias will remain short until perhaps 1.197 gets broken and there's a strong continuation move to the upside. We're going to remain short until then. So hopefully this video clears things up for you all. This has been a midweek technical breakdown. Hopefully this is the most precise one that I've created so far, and you all are starting to follow my footprints and understand the way to read price action properly. You can see it's a very tedious task. It's not easy at all. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and when you are learning how to day trade, trust me, you're going to take hundreds and hundreds of losses before you actually become consistent, if not thousands of losses. It all depends on you as a trader and your level of experience and your, you know, learning ability to learn. You know, your teachability index has to be very great for you to be able to learn this and to follow up with me daily, even with my losses, and still believe in the process. So that's all I have to say for these pairs, guys. Let me just take one last look at how everything is reacting. Since it's a few minutes later, you can see that everything is reacting. Everything is kind of just making their moves, setting up for London session. But we do have our ideal setups, and we do have a directional bias and everything. So we don't have to sit here worrying and panic. It's just as simple as if it hits here, it's going there. If it hits there, it's going there. And that's it, guys. Let's follow up at the end of the week with these pairs. Peace.